last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, our gang meets those little dragonettes, and they're all like, yeah, mommy's gone. Mommy gets us elephants and rhinos, but she hasn't been here for a while, so we're kind of hungry. And we do eat people too, and they're like, but luckily they were all tied up and couldn't escape, and so they're like, we're actually going to go because we don't want to get eaten. And so they climb up these little crevices in the mountain, and hope that the mom dragon doesn't come down and eat them, and they end up finding a little spot, getting trapped, and then Dorothy out of fucking nowhere is like, actually, I know someone who has this magical belt that can transport me anywhere, and I actually talk to her daily, or I'm able to give her a signal daily to let her know if I need help or not. So I'm going to use that now, and so she did, and everyone gets saved and takes back to Oz, where they meet up with all their little friends, Jamila Jam, fucking Tin Woodsman, Scarecrow, everyone, and a lot of rewriting of history happens there. Do we like Oz? Do we not like Oz? What's the deal? Yeah, and that's all I'm going to say about it because it's a lot.
Hi there, and welcome to Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be finishing Book 4, Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz, covering chapters 16 through 20.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone.
Wait a minute, I'm Blake Stone.
Oh, my bad.
Anyway.
And joining us, as always, is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Geary.
Am I Hannah? I don't know anymore.
Hannah, you just played last time on, where you recapped what happened last time on Oz Hour. How long did that take?
1 minute and 7 seconds.
Okay, so just a little bit over time, but honestly, okay, no one knows that's your nails, sister. But you did a really good job, and you covered so much. Even though you went over time, you covered it so well that I don't even have any notes to give you.
To be fair, that extra 7 seconds was a lot of like, I got. So
I didn't know how to describe the last bit of it because it was so much confusion, which I think is a good way of summing up. Is a good way of summing up what happened.
You're right.
Because it was a lot of that.
Was
good. You gagged.
I was speechless.
So, everyone, just 2 quick things before we dive into the show. First, thanks to all the people who have followed and reviewed the podcast. For those of you who haven't, please rate, review, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast. And then the second thing, we're recording this at the beginning of June, and you know what that means. It is Pride Month, and as queer content creators, all 3 of us, Pride is very near and dear to our hearts. So we just wanted to wish everyone a wonderful and safe Pride.
Slay.
I lie. So before we started recording, Wyatt went ahead and whipped up some cocktails. Tell us about them.
Tonight, we are drinking Emerald City Juleps, the official drink of the Kentucky Derby, which will make sense later, and the recipe for which can be found on our Instagram at Oz Hour Podcast.
Well, it smells delightful.
It does smell good.
I'd yet to smell it. It does smell good.
Very minty.
Shall we slurp?
Yeah. All right.
Watch out for leaves.
Oh.
That's good. I almost choked.
I thought you got a leaf.
No, it might have been a leaf.
With the amount of ingredients that you mentioned in it, I didn't think I was going to like it because I like my sweet cocktails, but this is pretty good.
Refreshing.
I think it's sweet.
Yeah.
Can you hear the horses?
Where's the coconuts?
Chapter 16. Jim, the cab horse.
So at the top of this, we're going to bounce back in time a little, I think.
It's a semi-flashback.
Yeah, to where, like, as we mentioned last time, Jim was given an apartment just like everyone else that he can just kind of, like, go and stand in.
And it's beautiful and richly adorned, as you would expect. Like, it's beautiful and opulent, but Jim doesn't really give a fuck about any of that.
Honestly, I would argue that he does, because he has the attendants brush him, comb him, wash his hooves. He's like, come and cater to me.
Oh, yeah. So he's pampered.
He's demanding a lot. Well, he is accepting all of their offers, but I just mean, like, he doesn't care that it's, like, emeralds in the walls and shit.
Oh, no, he doesn't care about the space.
Big space.
I think he does appreciate being in the house rather than in the stables.
Yeah.
videos.
I'm sure, yeah.
But we don't really get a lot of that. We actually get a lot of him behaving the absolute opposite, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is just like,
No, he's
waiting
unthankful.
on them hand and foot. They're like, hey, let's bring you dinner in your room. He's like, hell yeah.
Oh my God.
What do they bring him?
Would they just bring him a bag of hay?
Oh,
Well-
he wishes.
And this is almost unintelligible, but first they bring him soup, a big bowl of soup.
What am I, a salamander?
Yeah, that's what he says. What does that mean? I
don't
understand
think
what a salamander
salamanders
is,
eat soup
They
either.
they hate soup. I know that for a fact.
but it's okay. They have a second course, fish with gravy.
What am I, a tomcat?
Yeah, and he's saying
and
this
that
to them.
at least makes a little bit more
Exactly.
sense. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to get upset about it.
Honestly, fish with gravy sounds really good.
I'll
I've
fuck-
never,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never had that.
But also,
before.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
human.
Yeah.
True. Your teeth have grooves. They're
Yeah.
not flat.
The third thing they bring him after that is 24 roasted quail on toast.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
I don't
What are
know-
you, a fucking weasel?
Yeah, that's what he says. It's
maybe
insane.
maybe weasels eat that, I guess.
I guess,
I guess
weasels
could eat a quail.
small
Quail
birds.
eggs, maybe.
Or
but
like
you know,
baby
Oz
quails.
doesn't. They don't have horses. They don't know what to feed them.
Well,
they
that's-
just have
exactly.
what does the
Yeah.
seahorse?
I
What
think-
does what does the
Saw.
sawhorse eat?
Nothing.
Honestly, he doesn't eat anything. He doesn't have to eat.
Yeah.
He's
Oh.
made of wood.
Yeah,
But
he's just
I
like the
think
scarecrow.
They are literally bringing Jim everything that they're serving the people at the table,
Yeah.
which is why I don't know why he's not just there, right? Like, just invite him to dinner.
Yeah.
He's one of them, right?
Yeah, but what is he gonna? He's gonna sit in a
he
chair.
can,
And
he
is
can
that-
sit
he'll
on his
stand?
butt on the floor next to the table.
He's table height, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not what happens.
if
but
it's a standing table.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
But Jim gets big mad. He's like, you guys are stupid and ignorant. You don't know what I eat. You don't know what horses eat. You're fucking insane. And he's just like going off on them. And he's a little bit
Full
high on
Karen.
Jim the horse is on his high horse.
Jim
He's
the
like,
horse.
y'all are really treating me good. And I'm like starting to buy into it. And he's getting mad and he's yelling.
So Jim fully asks for the manager, and the manager comes as like special attendant. He's like, "Hey, like, heard you're having a bit of an issue over here. Like, what can I get your highness for dinner?" And Jim is like, "Your highness?" And the manager is like, "Yeah, you're 6 feet high. You're the highest thing I've ever seen." But
Oh,
just so you know,
my.
there's gonna be a lot of that, and we might not be able to cover it all.
Where's
Yeah.
Tip?
Yeah, Tip is like,
No more wordplay.
that was a good joke. You're quick. You're saucy.
Thank you.
But yeah, basically, Jim is just like, "Get me some oats, man. I just want some oats." And the steward's like, "We don't have whole oats. We have oatmeal, and we can cook that for you."
Yeah, he's like,
Oh,
but
he's so confused.
Well,
I
yeah.
felt like this, like serving a table before. They're like, I'm allergic to salt. I'm allergic to gluten. Like, I'm
so
gluten-free.
you tell
Yeah,
me
it's
what
like-
I'm allowed
yeah.
to eat.
and why did you come here?
I'm like, so you came to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Salt is our middle name.
That's so funny. Well, yeah, basically though, he's like, yeah, like we eat this for breakfast though. And Jim is like, well, you're going to make it for dinner. And if you value your life, you will not cook that. You bring that to me whole.
He said, "Bring that shit to me raw, or I'll slit your fucking throat."
Yeah.
And
That's
they
how I
just
order my
bring-
steak.
mooing. But yeah, they just bring it to him in some like wet water, like some wet water. Is water wet? But they bring it to him in some cold water, so it's not cooked, but it's in water. And Jim just eats up those oats. And then they lay down these big rugs for him to sleep on. Like,
Yeah.
Jim's getting the treatment.
liked
He's
that.
acting like a fucking prick though. Which
Yeah.
like, I know he's been kind of like Gramps the entire time, but is he being Grumps the entire time?
You know, I feel like there have been so many like vignettes of Jim being kind of shitty. Like when he was like when they got to the cave in the last episode and he was like, "Oh, of course we're going to die. No one's ever gone into a world where animals talk and told the tale." Like he like then even like back in the
Yeah.
fucking when he couldn't eat in the land
No
of
one was rubbing his
the
feet
mangaboos.
in that moment though.
That's true.
Yeah, I have
That's
to
true.
say, out of everyone there, he probably did most of the work.
That is absolutely.
So
Oh,
I
he
could-
pulled a buggy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So in
Say
that,
less,
in that,
say less.
exactly. It's like I could kind of give him because I would be annoyed too. I'm like the only, and he didn't even want to be there. I mean,
Bitch.
obviously,
Well, none
no
of
one
them
wanted.
wanna
Yeah,
be
none of them wanted to be
Can I
there.
ask? In the real world, has Jim ever done anything but pull a buggy? Has he ever done anything but not want to be there?
Yeah,
You're
but
a
he's not getting
workhorse.
paid.
He's
Well,
never
he's
been
getting paid in notes,
Oh
motherfucker.
Now he is, but that's the thing. Like right now, he's being treated well, and
That's
he's
true, that's true.
He's never experienced.
He's
this
getting the
before.
payment he's never received.
Yes, L. Frank Baum literally does a little like insert and is like, Jim had never been treated very well. His whole life, he was a service worker, and so it's getting to his head. Like he's being like, "Oh, you're treating me like royalty. I actually have specific wants."
Yeah.
You better.
I'm
I'm gonna
asking.
take every moment out of this that I can.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
honestly,
I give him some
slay.
grace.
All right.
I don't like his behavior,
Fine.
but I
Yeah,
understand where he's
I
coming
came
from.
for him, and this during Pride Month. I am so sorry.
No, yeah, he is a working horse.
But Jim sleeps throughout the night, and in the
Yep.
morning, he's like, I'm gonna go on a little walk. I'm gonna find some green grass to eat.
yeah,
I'm hungry again.
There you go.
I got 6 stomachs. Is that horses?
but leaving his chamber, he runs into none other than the Seaswastway source, as Hannah would say. To translate, he runs into the sawhorse.
I don't know why for some reason seahorse always comes to mind when I think of him.
I mean, it's a great running joke, so
Honestly,
I'm glad it happened.
His face is kind of seahorse-ish, like
His face is so indistinct.
long
Yeah,
and
it could be
strange
anything
with
long and
bulging
strange.
eyes.
Yeah.
I got you long and strange right here.
Ooh.
But he's quite startled because the sawhorse is fucking weird looking.
They're both startled, I would say.
They are,
They're kind
yeah.
of staring at each other.
Yeah, they look at each other like neither of them has ever seen something like the other. And my question is though, if there are no horses in Oz, how are they able to make a joke about how the sawhorse looks like a real horse? Like, how is that possible?
Oh my
If
god,
they've-
you're right.
If they've never seen a horse
If they've
before,
never been exposed.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
be called. It would be called a beam or something.
yeah,
it wouldn't
they
be
call it a
called
saw
Unless
cow or
they-
something.
Well, that would be, the only way is that there would be some, because, we grow up with learning about unicorns and mermaids, but we've never seen them or heard of them either,
It's true.
Well, we've heard of them. That's why we have the word for it.
You know,
But
yeah.
Aussians have never seen a horse. Why would they have a word?
But
for
we've
a
never
horse?
seen a mermaid.
Oh,
That's what
you're
I'm saying.
saying
It's
like
like
a
if
horse
it's
is a
something
mythical-
mythical.
a
like
horse
they
is a
know what
mythical
it is, or horses could have been around 50
They
years
know what
ago.
it is, but they've never seen it.
Okay,
I see.
that's a. I think I mean
Fine.
I do not think L. Frank Baum thought of that, but that is a perfect explanation, and I
Yeah.
am all about that. Great. Okay,
On
that makes
on
sense.
Harvest Eve, like the dads are always like, "Oh, I'm a horse," and the kids are like, "Ah!"
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
It's a Halloween costume.
But the two horse side, they like stare at each other. They start to circle each other. They have no idea what the other is. And Jim's like, "What sort of being are you?" And the sawhorse is like, "I'm
That's a little racist.
sawhorse." Yeah, you can't just ask people what kind of being they are. But Jim's like, "Oh yeah, Dorothy told me about the sawhorse. You're not really what I expected." And the sawhorse is like, "Yeah, I'm unusual."
Well, to almost quote Jim, "Well, you're so ugly, you shouldn't even be alive."
Oh,
Jim takes it there.
okay.
And the sawhorse,
Jim is feeling. I think he has a lot of resentment
yeah,
built up.
he's
I
yeah,
think something's going on with him.
he does. Ever since who knows when, he's had a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
seems like that's a low blow right
It's-
there.
it's funny
Well,
though,
someone you've never
do
even
you
met
remember-
before, and this is the closest thing you have right now to someone that's similar.
Oh,
But you
yeah.
remember when Dorothy told him about the sawhorse, and he was like, "That fucking donkey! I bet
Oh,
he can't
yeah.
even run." Like he's had a fucking
He
attitude about the
already
sawhorse.
was ready
like
to
he's
fight.
never met another horse in his entire life.
Yeah.
Like what?
Thankfully,
well, he
though-
was a cab horse.
Well, he was, yeah, and it's interesting. Like,
Well, I wonder if that's
Jim?
just competition. He's like, I'm trying to make more money out here.
Here's the thing, girl.
I don't trust no horses.
Jim can earn money a lot of ways. Jim is a lot of things.
Yeah, as
and
we'll
we've
find
got
out.
some things to tell you.
Okay, the tea is here.
But the bottom line is the sawhorse is saddened. He's basically like, yeah, like I'm not really meant to be alive. Like I'm not a horse. Like I am ugly. And like, but I am alive. And like, I'm also the only horse in Oz. So they treat me really well. Like he's, as always, the sawhorse is a like depressed realist. He's like, yeah, I didn't want to be here. I have a pretty good time though. And they like me.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, he says he's a fine imitation of a horse, even. And, like, Jim... Okay, this is, like, some dumb back and forth, so I'll be quick about it. But Jim's like, I'm a real horse. Check me out. Like, you don't look as good as this. You wish you could have all this ass. Like, I have this big tail that I can swat away flies, and these teeth so I can eat the grass, and this big old chest so I can breathe air. And the sawhorse is like, yeah, I guess I'm not a real horse because... flies don't bite me, I'm wood. And I don't eat, I'm wood. And I don't have to breathe air, I'm wood. So yeah, you're right. You're better than me.
And you know
So
what?
the sawhorse is AI.
Yeah.
yes.
But you know what Jim has to say to that? He's like, yeah, your life sucks.
Yeah.
And the sawhorse agrees. And he's like, yeah, but it's been great to meet a real horse, and you're magnificent. You're so beautiful, and like you are amazing. And Jim is like, okay, yeah, like I like that you said that, and like your only problem really is that like you're made of wood, so like which you can't even help. So like, okay, great. Now Jim is like fully
He's settling
reversing.
down.
Yeah,
He's
The
settling.
sawhorse is like, yeah, you're right. It sucks. I can't feel pain. If something breaks,
it's like, at
someone
least you
just
feel
replaces
things.
it.
At least you
I'm
can
like-
be mad.
Yeah,
Yep.
like there are
Yeah.
those things. I'm honestly being sarcastic because the sawhorse is perfect. If you need a horse, he's perfect.
Yeah.
He's fast. He's small. He takes up a very small amount of space. Doesn't eat. Doesn't drink. Doesn't breathe. Takes up a little bit amount of space. I'm fine with him. But so then, in the middle of their conversation, Jim, he's kind of starting to feel a little jealous of the sawhorse, and he's about to respond. But all of a sudden, he feels like scared because he sees something, and he lets out this terrified neigh. He starts to run down the hall.
Can you do the neigh for me?
Well, that was Scooby Doo at the beginning. Yeah.
But
Thank you.
there are these two savage beasts turning the corner.
What?
The
The
coward-
Dragonettes?
No, the Cowardly Lion and the Hungry Tiger. It's really not that
Baby,
crazy.
we're in the Osmian Palace.
I know. I
They
just
come
thought
down.
maybe.
Yeah.
I thought maybe like something happened. You know?
No, trust me. In
They
this
broke
episode,
through.
nothing happens. But they are coming down like the hallway or whatever. They're there. And Jim screams and then runs away. And the sawhorse is like, hey, it's fine. Like, just come back here. Those are friends of Dorothy
He's
and
like, come
Ozma.
We're not gonna
Come
eat
back,
you.
real horse. Please, real horse, come
He's
back.
like Alex from Madagascar.
Ugh,
Yeah, seriously.
He's not
Yeah.
gonna eat you
can't wait
Yeah.
to see
unless you
Madagascar the
starve
musical with this.
him.
Yeah.
But Jim kind of calms down. He stops freaking out. He's still kind of looking fearfully at the lion and tiger. But the sawhorse introduces the Cowardly Lion and the Hungry Tiger to Jim. And he's like, look, these are good friends of Dorothy's. They've just come to visit her. The sawhorse is like, isn't he beautiful? The Cowardly Lion roasts Jim. He's like, your face is stretched, your neck is long, your joints are swollen and overgrown, you look dusty and old. And the Hungry Tiger jumps in. He's like, your meat looks too tough to eat. My conscience would never permit me to eat a real horse. And Jim is like, good. I've got a conscience as well, and it tells me not to crush your skull in with a blow of my hoof. So, hey, cool. We're even. Like, they are, like, literally talking about killing each other.
Okay, this is
Not good.
intense.
And Jim's behavior
Why are the
lately-
animals being so insane?
They're animals!
Yeah, they're animals!
Okay. What's crazy is that my note for all of this is they have some discussion, comma. Jim begins to munch the clover. And that is
Some
where it
things
ends.
we cannot skip.
Yeah, no, you're right. But that is where it ends. Jim is just like, okay, cool. Like the lion though is like, oh yeah, like you're a friend of Dorothy. That's fine. You're a friend of ours.
Yeah,
And
let's stop talking about skull bashing.
Jim eats his breakfast.
What? does this? Okay, because I know we're gonna get back to the name of the chapter. What does this have to do with Jim being a cab driver?
I feel like the title of the chapter being Jim the Cab Horse is really just setting us up to learn about Jim the Cab Horse.
We have
I
never
see. So that's just his
gotten-
title.
Yeah, we've never gotten like a look at Jim all by himself.
Yeah, one on
and
one.
and he is Jim the Cab Horse.
Okay,
That's
okay.
his name or his job.
I thought we were gonna get like some times of him in New York and
Oh, that'd be so fun. Who do
yeah,
you think
like
wrote
what
this
his
book?
life was
Wait,
like.
Wait, who did you think wrote this book?
I thought maybe
Stephen King.
I hope it wasn't Lyman Frank Baum, baby. But it's okay. It's okay because Dorothy, she comes outside. She greets the cowardly lion. She greets the hungry tiger. She catches up with the big cats, and then the breakfast bell rings.
Yeah, the breakfast bell. Because that's what it is.
Ding dong, the breakfast bell.
Yeah.
The breakfast bell is ringing.
Woo! But Dorothy's like, great, let's go have breakfast. And they run into she runs into the castle and she's greeted by a voice. And that voice says, "What? Are you here again?" This is the voice of the Gump, who hangs in the entry chamber. And for some reason, we are given an entire recap of the Gump's life since being reanimated, made into a machine, and then hung on the wall. And Dorothy is like, "What were you in your first life?" And he just says, "I can't really remember, but I assume it just isn't important."
Okay, that's where L. Frank Baum has messed up yet again.
Yeah.
Because the deer is called the Gump.
Yeah.
The flying machine is something completely
Yeah.
different.
It was called The Thing.
It was
I'm
called
pretty
the
sure.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But I do think it's insane also because when the Gump was turned into a flying machine, he was so ashamed. He was like, "I remember being a noble animal and being in the woods and then being shot or killed. I don't know how he was killed. Maybe he was shot. And then I'm like, okay, so now you can't remember that and all you remember is like since you were reanimated. That's insane. But there's good news. Ozma comes, tells the Gump to shush and that
Okay.
he shouldn't chatter.
Can
or
I
chatter.
can I please share a quote here though? Because you're describing it, but the way that it's described in the book is kind of eerie to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because-
let's hear it. Let's
yeah,
hear
go
it.
for it.
The Gump is like, "Here comes Ozma, so I'd better hush up because she doesn't like me to chatter since she changed her name from Tip to Ozma."
What
What?
does that mean, though?
What does that
Whoa,
mean?
whoa,
What
whoa, whoa,
does that mean?
whoa!
So she ever since
That was
Tip,
not her choice.
it wasn't her choice, but
No.
let's think about this. Ever since Tip became Ozma, Ozma is like violent toward the Gump and doesn't want him to speak.
It makes me think, what did Ozma do as Tip that she doesn't want the Gump talking about?
Tip
No.
Tip the Hun. But anyway, yeah, Ozma comes in. She's like, "Dorothy, breakfast is ready." "Hush, you Gump," and then leads the way to the dining room.
Yeah, she kisses Dorothy and they go to breakfast. And that is unbelievably the end of chapter 16, Jim the Cab Horse. And Blake, what, may I ask, did you entitle that chapter in your revised version?
Titled that chapter in my revised version, "The Morning Zoo," because everyone was an animal up until Dorothy and Ozma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Chapter 17, The 9 Tiny Piglets.
So we're just
Yeah.
getting
Well,
a one-on-one with everyone.
okay, no,
No,
we're
no.
really not.
These
though,
titles,
which is
these
insane.
titles are really inaccurate.
Because
Um,
today is actually going to be a really big party.
Yeah, so,
Like, for real.
Literally, after they finish breakfast, you know the breakfast they started at the end of the last chapter?
Yeah.
We don't know anything about that breakfast. We just get to after it, where
Yeah.
Ozma's like, "Today is a national holiday."
Just for her friends. That's it. Just because her friends are there.
Yeah, I wish
So-
that I had that power.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, throughout the entire Emerald City today, we're going to start with the parade. Then the wizard's going to perform some magic in the throne room. Then in the afternoon, we're going to have games and races."
Games and races.
So-
I will say,
A whole day.
something I didn't really think about until just now is like, people do want to see the wizard. Like, people all over the city are like, "Oh my God, the wizard's here."
People
like,
had never seen him.
yeah. Oh, that's
Nobody's
That's
ever seen the
true.
wizard. Not even I've seen the
Why
wizard.
is everyone so
Oh,
excited?
that's
No one's ever
right.
seen him.
Because all they know is he's great
Well,
and powerful.
I guess if
And now they're
Jesus
about
was here
to
all
get
of a
a
sudden.
reveal.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're about to get a reveal. Or I guess he's already been revealed. But all that said, though, everyone's excited for that. It makes sense that Ozma would say, hey, instead of having to go work at Sonic today, you can have everyone has the day off and you can come see the wizard. Like all essential frontline workers, everyone has the day off.
Cities shut down.
Yeah.
And
And-
so we begin with a parade, shall we?
Indeed we shall. And it's quite the parade. And Blake, I don't know if you have this, but I have excruciating detail.
Okay, so let me lead, and then you pop in with the details.
Okay.
Because I ignored a lot of detail. So when I'm slacking, just give me a little tap tap.
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
So the parade begins. It starts with the Imperial Cornet Band of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
What are they wearing?
Oh, that I don't fucking know.
Okay,
man.
I was like, what kind of detail do you have? Because I have
No.
that they wear all green and have emerald buttons. That's all
I know
have.
that they're playing the Oz Spangled
Okay,
Banner.
Great. Glad we get to talk about that.
Yeah. Oz Spangled
Hannah-
Banner.
Oh, say can use
Oz. But here's the thing. Can you tell me, can you describe what the words Star Spangled Banner mean? Like, does that mean anything to you looking at the American flag?
Oh, like hearing the word Star Spangled Banner and
Yeah.
looking at the flag.
Yeah. Like, what does that mean? Like, okay.
Spangled. It's spangled
It's
with
a-
stars.
The
it's
star
it
is
has a
shining with stars. It's
Yeah, there's
spangled
a star.
with stars.
It's spangled.
So what the fuck does the Oz Spangled Banner
I guess
mean?
it's a flag covered in emeralds.
It's a
Yeah,
flag
what's
covered in all of Oz?
Oz?
Well, actually, it is quite literally a flag covered in all of Oz, I guess. Because
Yeah.
behind the band are the flag bearers. And there's a little bit of an inconsistency here because they march with a flag that's divided into the four quarters of Oz. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, a little bit. Because I don't actually have it in my notes, but one of the colors was white.
One of the colors is also pink. So the colors are specifically sky blue, pink, lavender, and white. When the map of Oz, we've talked about this, blue, munchkins, red, gillikins, yellow, winkies, purple, quadlings.
Yeah.
But he made like all of them like powdered versions of those colors. I don't understand.
He
that.
changed the flag. Then again, you know what? What was the rebellion flag of General Ginger?
Everything.
Exactly. It was the four actual colors. So,
Oh, that could have changed in the lore.
well, I'm thinking, why would the rebellion flag have the same exact colors as the actual Emerald City Oz flag?
But yeah, so I mean, it has those four colors. In the center of the flag is a large emerald green star. And then that's covered in sequins so that it twinkles in the sunlight.
Cute.
Okay.
Behind
Happy
them,
Pride.
yeah. Yes, here's your pride parade. Because behind them is the hungry tiger, the cowardly lion. They're pulling a golden chariot. It's gleaming in the sun. And in that chariot is in that chariot are Ozma and Dorothy. So they're waving.
Yeah, and
they're
Dorothy is
prancing.
wearing the Gnome King's belt because they had to
Yeah.
give her some level of importance.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, you're royalty now. Here's your belt.
And then behind that is Scarecrow, who's riding the sawhorse, and behind him, TikTok is marching along.
Yeah.
And TikTok hasn't come and
TikTok!
said hello to us
Yeah,
yet.
that's great. I assume that we just didn't hear about him visiting, and he was already there and met everyone. and
Yeah,
was like,
I
"I'm
hope
TikTok."
he said hello before he had to march in a parade.
Yeah.
Okay, what if until Dorothy arrived, what if he was just like wound down, sitting dead in a
no.
back room, and she was like, "Where's TikTok?" And they were like, "Oh, do you want to go wind him up?"
Ew, I hate that. And
But
honestly,
he wouldn't
the
even
book-
know.
The book does say that like he belongs to Dorothy.
It
He's
does
only
later
there
on.
because Dorothy can't take him to the real world, and that Dorothy specially wound him up for this event.
Oh, so no one else.
So maybe he
winds him
is
up?
collecting dust in a corner.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Aw.
Oh, I
Makes you
hate
wonder.
that.
I really
okay,
hate that
Let's
too.
not.
No, he's not. He's doing good work every day. He volunteers in the soup
Love.
kitchens, and everyone winds him.
And behind him is another band called the Royal Court Band because all of its members live in the Emerald Palace.
Yeah. And they are playing Oz without Ozma.
What
Which-
is Oz without Ozma?
Well, based on an extensive internet research I did, it is based on an 1854 song titled "What is Home Without a Mother?"
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's cool. I mean, it's cool. Like back then, lazy. But today,
No. Well,
cool.
back then it was a
Different.
60-year-old song. It's like us referencing the Star Spangled Banner.
The two songs he came up with are the Star Spangled Banner and What is Oz without? What is home without? What is
What is home without a mother?
behind them is the Woggle Bug with a group of students from the Royal College of Scientific Athletics.
Oh.
They're hot, probably.
So
Yeah.
he is
And-
highly intelligent.
Yeah. Well, it may be.
HS, highly sexual.
The college students from the athletics college are all shouting their whatever the fuck they yell, and they're all the citizens of Oz are like, oh, they have strong lungs because they're in the athletics college.
Yeah.
And then behind them is the Tin Woodman,
Oh yes.
but behind him is the Royal Army of Oz, because as we remember, he's like he is the leader, or he commands the Royal Army of Oz. So great. Okay, that makes sense that he's in the back. And then behind them is Jim pulling the buggy with Zeb, and then the wizard is like bowing in the back of it, and he's like death dropping in the carriage. So-
The parade ends back at the palace, and once it's over, everyone crowds to watch the wizard perform his magic, right? And so he performs his good old pig trick where he pulls
Yeah.
them apart and puts them back together.
Everyone
again.
loves it. Predictably,
Everyone
it's
loves it.
insane.
Okay, this part I'm not like, I don't love this. So Ozma says, oh, I wish those piglets weren't gone. I would really love to like pet and play with one. So the wizard like, does like the little magician thing where he like pulls one out from behind her ear and he's like, here's your piglet, Ozma, And then she's just like, oh, this is so great. Like, I'm going to have an emerald collar made for its little neck. I'm always going to have it next to me. This is my pig now. And it's like, you didn't ask for a pig, Ozma. You asked to play with one. Like, what?
I kind of took him like pulling it out from behind her ear and giving, like, when she's like, I wish I had one to play with, I thought it was like, I wish I had one, period.
I wish I
play
had an L. Frank bomb to tell me he let her have that, because Ozma just seemed like a dick, which people who weren't usually dicks are seeming like dicks all of a sudden. So
I don't
I'm
know,
scared
man.
she's one of them. And actually in my own mind, she is going to be one of them later.
You've already decided.
that. But yeah, the wizard does all of his tricks outside of the pig trick. And people don't care if he's a humbug as long as he can amuse them. So
Yeah.
once his act is over, they're like, please stay. Please don't leave again.
We like.
Yeah. And because everyone is so enamored with him, he agrees to cancel all of his engagements with the crown heads of Europe and stay, which must be the reference they're making in the 1939 feature film when he's like, oh, the crown heads of Europe. And then he basically just says, yeah, I'll stay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that probably is a joke. I don't know how many of these books they had to read to make that one movie.
Maybe
But
everyone read them.
Every time we read one, I'm like, oh, that seems like a callback to this thing,
The thing
So-
is, like, everyone who made that movie could have read every book growing up.
That's true. The books were 48 years old at that point
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, so after the Wizard's Magic Show, everyone goes into a luncheon in the palace, and then we don't learn anything about the luncheon. After the luncheon, we go to the great field outside of the city gates.
Because, bitch, it's about to get medieval, and I'm pretty down for it. Because
Okay.
they go out. There's this royal canopy that Ozma and her crew are in. I mean, everybody, And people are wrestling. People are doing races. They're competing in games.
They're just
And
performing
Yeah.
for Ozma.
Ozma has
Wrestling and boxing.
Ozma has a big mutton leg in her hand, and she just
Yeah.
fucking takes a bite out of it.
She's
and
like, "More, more."
more. She picks up her fucking a mug of grog and she slams it. Yeah, it's insane. But she's
There's like two like quirky-breasted women on either shoulder of her.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
like,
Yeah. The jousting is up next. But that's what we're here for. And then Zeb is like, hey, like, okay, so there's a Munchkin champion who he's a super buff Munchkin. He's been wrestling all day. And Zeb is like, hey, that guy's my size. Like, can I wrestle him?
insane.
But the Munchkin.
Zeb.
I understand what he was thinking, which is like, oh, that guy's my size. But it's like, well, Zeb, you're 9.
We learn
To
why,
11.
we learn why he's doing this.
You're a child, and
But-
also you're not from here.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
Munchkin's like, yeah, let's do it.
Of
So
course they are.
they compete in the wrestling competition. This guy with the little pointy mustache and pointy hat with bells around the brim versus Zeb. And even though Zeb is bigger than the Munchkin Man, guy lays his ass out 3 times with no effort.
Damn.
Yep.
uh,
I have Munchkin
Zeb.
lays him out 3 times.
The people laugh. They laugh at him.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I was like, are you lost?
Just the way you did that.
They do laugh at him just the way that Blake pointed and laughed at Hannah.
The way that Blake pointed and laughed was the way it was pretty humiliating.
You know who laughs
well,
with them?
yeah, Ozma. Ozma laughed with them. They all laughed at Zeb.
What the
Yeah.
fuck,
They,
bitch?
but here's the thing. So they
Okay.
all laughed at Zeb, and he's feeling pretty butthurt.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, how about a box?
I'd be pissed.
Well, yeah, he is. He's embarrassed. And he's pissed, but he's super embarrassed. He's
But
like,
it's just
fuck.
like, why are you trying to humiliate me?
I mean, he did ask to have a wrestling match with an adult
Yeah, he
man.
created
Okay.
that situation.
But
You're right.
all that said, Zeb is being laughed at, and he's like, okay, well, how about we box? So they're like, okay, we want to fucking see that too.
Yeah, because if you can't wrestle him to the ground, maybe you can punch him harder than he can punch you.
Yeah.
Zeb,
I'd like to see that.
well, Zeb boxed his ears. He boxed him on the ears.
Oh shit!
The Munchkin collapsed, crying, very
Isn't
hurt.
that illegal?
It is. Well,
It's
not in Oz.
It's illegal in real wrestling.
Yeah, or the
or
Middle
boxing.
Ages. But everyone then, including Ozma,
That's a cheap shot.
it is.
It is cheap, but don't worry. It's hilarious.
Everyone, yeah. Everyone laughs at the Munchkin, including Ozma, which to me is like, okay, Ozma is just laughing along with everyone else. She's laughing because, that's what you do. Like, someone loses, you're laughing at them. It's just the energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Idiots.
Yeah,
Not how I watch those fights, but to each his own.
indeed.
But then the Scarecrow, he's like, hey, I have an idea for a game. Let's
The
see
Scarecrow's
a race.
drunk.
Yeah, apparently. Let's see a race. No, don't you fucking stop me. I have just as much a right to speak as anybody else. Let's see a race between the Sawhorse and Jem.
Hey, I'd fucking pay
Oh my
money
God.
Yeah.
Everyone-
to see that.
Everyone's like, yeah.
Well, not
Yeah.
everyone. Not everyone.
Who?
The Sawhorse. He says, hey, no, that wouldn't be fair at all.
And Jim's like, yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be fair because your little legs
Yes,
aren't even half
that's right.
as long
Fucking
as
talk
mine.
shit. Talk
Well, yeah,
shit.
and the Sawhorse is like, okay, no.
At least try.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Sawhorse is like, hey, it's not like that. I just never get tired, and you do.
Oh, so he thinks that he'd
Oof.
fucking beat the shit out of
Welcome
him.
to
Yeah.
Oz Hour, where Hannah is always on the wrong side of history.
But Jim is also on the wrong side, and he gets pissed off. He's like, hey, you think for an instant that a poor imitation of a horse could run as fast as
He's like,
I
you don't
can?
get it. I'm a robot.
But
Yeah.
the Scarecrow, Jim asked that question. The Scarecrow is like, that's why we race.
Yeah.
We're going to race to see who
We'll figure it out.
who's faster.
We don't
Exactly,
know who's
exactly.
Let's
faster.
go.
Yeah.
That's how we figure it out.
So
Okay, brain.
Jim is like, hey, when I was young, I defeated all sorts of horses in the Kentucky Derby.
Womp, 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 womp. Guest trivia.
Womp, womp, womp.
Now, I'm going to give you a little background on this guest trivia, and then we'll jump in.
Okay.
The lifespan of a horse is 25 to 30 years. Jim's older, right? So let's say he's 25. That would mean, since this book was released in, 1908? Yeah. That means that Jim would have last competed in a Kentucky Derby maybe in like 1888. So, here's how we do this. I'm going to ask you what the name of the winning Kentucky Derby horse was in 1988. I'm going to give you the 5 options. You're going to guess. There is a very fun fact with the correct answer that makes me think that Jim just might have been this 1888 winner. Who was the winner of the 1888 Kentucky Derby? Was it A, the Chevalier, B, White, C, Galafet, D, Macbeth II, E, Alexandria? That is A, the Chevalier, B, White, C, Galafet, D, Macbeth II, E, Alexandria. Just guess. It's just what feels right.
No fucking clue. But
it's just gonna feel good.
I'm just gonna say White.
That is incorrect. The correct answer. Would you like to guess what?
I'm gonna guess. What was the second?
The second was White.
No.
The Chevalier, White, Galafet, Macbeth II. Macbeth II actually is correct.
No!
Oh shit! And
Yeah.
I did not look that up.
We did not
White
talk about
just seems
this.
so insane that I was like, "There's no way you just came up with that."
I probably would have guessed Alexandria because it seemed the least fitting. So we're all crazy, but why it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
But Macbeth II, here's a fun fact, was actually raised and trained in Chicago and was later sold as a saddle horse in that same city of Chicago. Jim, as we all know, is a cab horse in Chicago. So I literally Googled that on a fucking whim, and it really fit into our story.
Jim.
Anyway, so Jim's talking about what a great racer he used to be, and Zeb is like, yeah, Jim, but you're old now, dude.
Yeah. And Jim hates that. He's like, okay, well, like I feel really young, and like I would race a real horse if there was one, but like I'm also pretty sure the sawhorse is just afraid.
Scarecrow's like, just race the sawhorse. And Sawhorse is like, I'm not afraid. I said it wouldn't be fair for us to race. Not that I'm scared to race you. Like, if you're down, I'm down. It's on sight, honey. Let's go.
And unbelievably, because Blake and I did this separately, this is our second and final guest trivia of the night. Hannah, this is multiple choice. What is the top speed of a horse? And you know what? I'm going to say it's actually not multiple choice.
What?
You already got one multiple choice question, and I'm going to reel that back and ask you, what do you think is the top speed of a horse, given what you know of a horse?
The top speed of like the highest speed.
The highest
that he
ever
can
recorded.
go.
The highest ever recorded of a thoroughbred horse that was bred in captivity and raced on a track specifically. There is a separate fact I will share later of a wild Mustang, which was recorded at a slightly lower speed, but the highest recorded domesticated horse speed.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
give you 2 tries.
2 tries?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 65.
Okay, well, that's incorrect. But you're fairly close.
That's the only hint that I get. Is it higher or lower?
Lower.
It's lower?
Yeah.
Did you say 255?
65.
Okay, I'm going to say 55.
Final answer?
57. 57. Final answer.
Oof. Hannah, the correct answer is 55.
You all were almost there. You were like.
I just thought it was gonna be I thought it was gonna be like a not like a multiple of 5 or
Oh
something.
my God,
I'm
Hannah,
so upset.
I want so badly to give
I
it to you, but I
basically
can't.
got that though.
Well, I mean, you could say basically, or you could say you said the right answer and then you said a different one. Oh my God. Well, it is unbelievable that you said the correct answer and then immediately switched to a different answer, and I want to give it to you, but I won't. But the top recorded land speed of a domesticated horse, or any horse, is 55 miles an hour. The speed of a stallion, a wild horse, that was recorded that is slightly less, was 54 miles per hour. So very close, unbelievably close. Almost as close as you were.
What are you laughing?
I'm just so annoyed. I was like, it couldn't be a multiple of 5.
My next note, frankly, is let the races begin, because they're about to race.
Yes.
They're lined up.
So Jim is like being an asshole. He's like, well, maybe I should give the sawhorse a head start. Sawhorse is like, nah, let's go. I'm ready to go. Zeb is like, ready, set, go. The race starts.
They're off. But guess what? It's this whole race. Hannah, who do you think will win?
Who do I think? I honestly think that the sawhorse will win.
Well, in less than 3 sentences, you will be proven correct, because L. Frank Baum tells us he's sorry to report that the sawhorse is so much faster it's embarrassing. He moves like the wind, and he's back at the royal tent before Jim even crosses the line.
Oh my God.
It's insane.
The sawhorse runs like a ghost is chasing him in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. It's insane. But unfortunately, Jim is ashamed.
Not happy.
He loses his temper. He thinks, and this is not an excuse, but as an explanation, he thinks the sawhorse is laughing at him because the sawhorse has a stupidly carved face. So he thinks he's smiling and laughing.
No.
He gets even more mad, and he turns around and he kicks him so hard.
Oh my God.
He goes flying. He breaks off a leg and an ear. But the sawhorse has friends in the world.
Friends in high
The
places.
hungry tiger is not having this. Remember, they had beef in the hall. It's
Yeah.
on site now.
Yeah.
Now, the hungry tiger launches at him, lands on his back, sends Jim tumbling over himself. Everyone is cheering.
Oh
They're
my
like, hell yeah, hungry tiger, kick his ass.
because they're like, Jim's acting like a
fuck
fucking
him.
dick.
Yeah, Jim
like,
is
it's
acting wrong.
It's horrible.
When Jim looks up, he's got the cowardly lion on one side. He's got the hungry tiger on the other. They look pissed. Jim is like, I'm sorry. The sawhorse won fair and square. I shouldn't have lost my temper. It's not like I can actually even hurt him anyway. I guess that's satisfying enough for them. They back off.
Yeah, but they're like, hey, like, you should not injure our friends in the future in our presence, because you're going to have to deal with us.
Zeb is like, please don't get killed before we make it home, Jim. And
Like,
Jim's like, yeah, you're right.
remember-
This is better than the beef.
Remember when the bears fucking
Yeah.
tore into you? It'll be like that, except even worse. So, yeah.
You'll be able to
It's
see it
horrible.
happening.
Yeah.
But then Ozma does something that I love, which is she takes her crown and she places it on the sawhorse. She's like, you're the prince of all horses, wooden or flesh. And in the land of Oz, all horses are considered an imitation of you, the sawhorse, who's the champion. So basically it's saying, hey, Jim, you're actually in this world, in this land, you're an imitation of the
You're
sawhorse.
not even a horse.
Like, you're not as fast as him. You can't do anything that he can. You're fucking shitty, and you're made of meat which will rot.
Humble.
That's me talking. But and then Ozma rides the sawhorse back to the city, and everybody clapped. And that is actually the end, for some reason, of chapter 17, The 9 Tiny Piglets.
What the hell?
Whoa.
And yeah.
Oh, what the what?
And Blake, this is one of the few times that we've seen where your chapter renaming
It's probably gonna make more sense.
Yeah,
than
will
the actual.
probably will absolutely make more sense. There's no way it
The
couldn't. So
only time.
one of the few.
What's it
so
gonna be?
what is your renaming of this chapter?
Jim proves to be unstable.
That's perfect. I love that.
That's great. Yeah, that's so much.
Thanks, guys. I'm just really happy to be here.
Chapter 18. The Trial of Eureka, the kitten.
So I don't know. It's been like maybe a week or so.
Yeah.
Definitely a few days.
They partied for a week, basically,
Yeah.
is
Oh
my
my
first
God.
note. That's verbatim my
So
first
Eureka
note.
got arrested.
well,
She
here's
got
the thing.
drunk and
Nothing's happened yet.
disorderly.
Nothing's happened yet. When was the last time we saw her? I don't
Okay,
even
true,
remember.
true.
Mm-mm.
But Ozma really likes having Dorothy around. You know, she's, being a princess. Ozma doesn't have a lot of girlfriends her age. So they're spending a lot of like close time together. Dorothy and her are sitting around gabbing. And Ozma's like, oh, hey, Jalea, will you go to my boudoir and get the piglet that I left on my dressing table? The one she basically stole from the wizard. And she just leaves it sleeping on her makeup stand like it's not a pet and it's just a toy. So I'm not happy with Ozma right now.
Yeah.
But Jalea goes to get the piglet, and she's gone for so long that Ozma literally forgot that she even asked Jalea to do something.
But she returns with a troubled expression, and she says, the piglet isn't where he should have been. He's not on the table. He's missing. And they're like, okay, well, are you sure he didn't just get out? Like, was the door closed? And she says, well, the door was definitely closed because when I opened it, Eureka ran out the door and up the stairs away from me.
Dorothy and the wizard look at each other, and then Dorothy snaps up. She stands up to her feet, and she's like, oh, hey, Ozma, come on. Let's go look for the piglet. Let's go look for the piglet right now.
Because guess
Prize.
what? Guess what Eureka told everyone? How much she wanted to eat a fucking piglet.
God.
And so Dorothy's super sketched out.
She has to prove that Eureka did not eat a piglet for her own sanity.
Yeah.
She's like, let's go. Come on. We're going to go find
not
the
about Eureka.
pig.
We're
Let's
gonna
go.
figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all go and search.
Yeah, they're searching everywhere. Ozma's getting pissed. Dorothy's literally starting to cry because they are not finding this pig anywhere.
And Ozma's like, okay, we've just got to go find the kitten. And if she ate the piglets, she will be punished.
So they send Jalea to go get Eureka. Jalea comes back and she's like, kitten won't come. She said she's going to scratch out my eyes if I touch her. So she's in Dorothy's room under the bed.
Yeah.
Someone else can go get
We're
her.
not dealing with that.
And Dorothy goes and she's like, hey, Eureka, come out. And Eureka just refuses. She's like ignoring her. And Dorothy's like, why are you being so bad? And Eureka doesn't answer.
She doesn't say
She literally
anything.
refuses to answer.
Like she's acting guilty as fuck. And then finally Dorothy's like, okay, Eureka, get your ass out from under the bed right now, or I'm going to use the Gnome King's belt to send you back to the land of the Gurgles. How does that sound? So then Eureka's like, what? What do you want? Why do you want me?
Yeah, all of a sudden she's talking. And then Dorothy's like, I just want you to go talk to Ozma. And Eureka's like, okay, fine. And she comes out.
Yeah. Dorothy carries her to Ozma. Ozma's like, did you eat my piglet? And Eureka's like, I'm not going to answer such a foolish question. And Dorothy's like, dude, if you're innocent, you have to answer the question.
Yeah.
Just say you're innocent.
Just tell me what's been going on.
And she's like, you were in the room with the piglet. Then the piglet, then you fled. And then you hid. And the piglet is gone.
Looks
so,
suspicious.
Yeah.
Looks very suspicious.
And she's not saying anything.
But then
When you don't say anything, it makes you more guilty.
No, she needs a lawyer. She needs a lawyer.
and
Lawyer,
she-
better call Saul.
she does say something that makes her more suspicious, which is, well, who accuses me? And it's like, bitch, just say you didn't eat the piglet.
Who cares who
Yeah.
accused you?
And they're like, well, no one did. Well, Ozma specifically is like, no one accused you, but like your actions and the circumstances those accuse you.
Exactly.
Like, no person has to accuse you. You're in a situation that
It's like, sorry,
is
unfortunately,
so
the closest
accusatory.
person to the situation is the one
Yeah.
who's going to be the most
Yeah.
suspicious.
Honestly,
until proven otherwise.
Eureka, she starts getting pissed off. She's like, don't accuse me of such a horrible crime if you can't even prove that I did it except by guessing. Still not answering the question.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, don't accuse me. So Ozma's just done. She's like, okay, you know what? Captain General, take Eureka to the prison and we will hold a trial against her for murder.
Yeah, we are convening a court to convict her of murder, which the piglet, although since they've reappeared to us, no piglet has made a sound. They all speak English. They're all fully functioning beings with a life. So like, yeah, it is murder if you kill one. Like, bottom
It'd be
line.
the same as if someone killed Eureka, I'd hope there'd be a trial.
And guess what though? The trial, 3:00 today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Dorothy is like, so what happens if she's guilty? And Ozma's like, well, she's gonna die. You know?
9 times.
You know why. You know why.
Yeah. But Ozma's like, however many it takes.
But
like,
here-
she'll be dead.
I do not like the court system in Oz. I do not like trials in Oz. It doesn't act well because Ozma already appointed herself judge, and she's just like, Cowardly Lion, Hungry Tiger, Jim, Bellina, Wizard, TikTok, Sawhorse, Zeb. That's the jury. Right?
Well, for the jury. So in the jury, she says, hey, there should be as many animals as possible in the jury. So she chooses the jury to be all of the animal friends. Everyone that Blake said. Like, I mean, everyone. And then she's like, okay. And then, like, there's human creatures and also, like, non-living creatures, like
so
the
get
fucking
the jury
scarecrow.
to 9, which was the Ozian law.
Yeah. And she says also the Tin Woodman is Eureka's attorney because he's so kind-hearted and he'll defend her. And the Wogglebug, being the most intelligent person in Oz, will be the prosecutor. So we have a whole setup. We have Tin Woodman defending, the Wogglebug accusing, and then we have a jury of half animals, half people and or things that look like people.
So things are bustling. We're getting ready for the 3:00 today trial.
Everybody's
And
excited.
yeah, murder trials don't really happen in Oz.
Nothing's
so
happened in
the people are
Oz.
gaga.
They're here for the tea.
Yeah. The people of Oz in general, like they can't remember the last time there had to be a jury or a court. There's literally no other attorneys in Oz because they can't even remember the last time there was a trial.
Yeah.
So there's no one to even appoint.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that much.
My question, wasn't there a civil war 1 year ago? Did no one get tried in the Civil War?
Actually, everyone moved away after that, and all of the inhabitants are brand new. Just like our listeners are hopefully brand new because we've thrown a lot of changes at them this
Yeah.
But, you know, everyone's getting ready for the trial. The wizard goes to his room, and he's like, okay, I have no doubt in my mind that Eureka killed that pig. Like, of course, she's been talking about it the whole book.
Yeah.
But he's like, okay, what do kittens do? They kill small things. Like, that's, like, they're literally wild cats that we've domesticated. And he knows that if Eureka's condemned to death, that's going to make Dorothy super unhappy. So the wizard's like, you know what? I'm going to save the kitten. I have to save the kitten.
He goes to the Tin Woodman.
Her defense attorney.
Yes. Yeah, he goes to her defense attorney and he says, hey, you're going to defend Eureka, but chances are you're going to lose because I think she did it. And all the evidence points to it. And even the things that aren't evidence point to her doing it. But he's like, but you know what? If Eureka is killed, Dorothy's going to be unhappy. Like, killing Eureka is senseless because she's a cat. Obviously, she did what she wanted to. And so the wizard devises to play a trick. A little trick for them.
Tricky trick.
No.
No, I said now.
Oh.
But it did sound like that. Nah. No. But yeah, the wizard, you know, once had 9 piglets. Then he gave one to Ozma. Now he has 8 piglets. So he takes one of them out of his pocket, gives it to the Tin Woodman. He's like, if you win the trial, fine. But if you don't, pull out this piglet say you found it, we'll pawn it off as being Ozma's piglet. Good plan.
Yeah. And the Tin Woodman is like, I don't like that because I don't want to deceive my friends. But also, I don't think Eureka should die. I don't want Dorothy to be sad. And I do. He basically agreed with the wizard and said, yeah, it's meaningless if she killed the piglet and then she gets killed. So I'll just go along with what you're saying.
He takes off his funnel hat.
Yeah.
And he puts the little piglet under there and then puts his funnel hat back on. And we're rocking and rolling. Everyone's preparing for trial.
Yeah. And that is the end of, for some reason, the chapter 18, the trial of Eureka, the kitten, and Blake. What would you call that one?
Cats is cruel.
Oh, a good callback.
I love a callback.
Chapter 19. The wizard performs another trick.
So 3 o'clock rolls around, and the throne room is just crowded with Ozians who have come to see the testimony.
Oh, one thing I wanted to get out in the open is that in the Oz justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups. The Princess Ozma, who investigates crime, and the Woggle Bug, who prosecutes the offenders. These are their stories. Wow, 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 wow. But for real.
Stay tuned after the credits for us doing the entire theme song.
But it is 3 o'clock, and the court is filled with people of all ages, all backgrounds. They all want to see this shit go down.
Super full in there, and Eureka's just in the center of the room, facing the throne in a cage.
Yeah.
And she's just looking at everyone, just like not seeming to care at all. Hundreds of people around her, and she's just like...
Yeah, there's the whole army behind Ozma, the jury to the right of her, and she's just chilling. And Ozma does like just a little subtle nod, like a little like to the Wogglebug, and he stands and he begins to strut about pompously. And I'm gonna just say, each time we talk about the Wogglebug, it's gonna be pompous. He is being pompous this whole time. That's what's written, and I have it in capitals.
He was always an asshole.
He's
he's worse this time, right?
Yeah, he is worse. In my opinion, he's worse this time.
So he's strutting back and forth. He kind of sets the scene of the murder. He tells the jury, that such an awful crime as what the kitten has done deserves death. So he is pleading to the court that Eureka the white kitten should be up for the death penalty and that should be inflicted 9 times.
Oh my God.
The crowd goes crazy.
They're excited. And this entire thing, another thing about the crowd, they're excited. Wogglebug pompous, crowd excited.
Yeah.
And in this whole thing, there's some wordplay about putting Eureka, the kitten, in a grave, and whether the Wogglebug is on trial here, the kitten, it's frankly not ambiguous. It's scattered.
I literally pole vaulted over all of it.
Yeah.
I didn't have time.
It's unimportant.
But yeah, so Ozma's like, all right, Eureka the kitten, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? And Eureka's like, look, that's your job to figure out. Okay, I'm just here for the ride. So the Tin Woodman gets up to defend Eureka. She's not helping him at all. He's like, look at her intelligent eyes.
Okay. Yeah. He's like, oh, she's sweet and lovely. Like, look at her eyes.
She closes them.
Yeah. Oh, well, look at her smiling mouth.
She snarls, bares her teeth.
Well, look at her soft little pads on her paws.
She unsheathes her claws and starts scratching at the sides of the cage, going, whoa, whoa.
Eureka is like, hey, if you want to defend me, at least do it right. Like, I'm not too innocent to eat the piglets. Like, I actually wanted to do that. But, like, obviously it's not wise, and like
Yeah.
I would have
didn't
sense
I didn't
enough
want
to not.
this to happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have done it. Say
Yeah.
that. Don't say I'm too cute.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
she could get away with it, she would have. And the Tin Woodman at that point, because she said that to everyone, and the Tin Woodman is like, "Well, I'll leave you with a poem. To eat is sweet when hunger's seat demands a treat of savory meat."
Ooh.
That's it.
He sits down.
That's going to be my prayer before I eat anything.
To eat is sweet. But the Tin Woodman sits down. We've described the crowd as being raucous.
Boisterous, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't say. They don't care. They don't.
No
they're
one
like,
claps.
That was bad. They were like, that
Silence,
was
radio
bad.
silence.
And we've
Yeah.
already decided she's guilty.
Yeah.
So basically, the jury whispers back and forth to each other. Finally, the hungry tiger stands up and he's like, "Kittens have no conscience, so there's nothing stopping Eureka from eating the piglet. Therefore, the jury finds the kitten guilty and sentenced to death 9 times."
But all of a sudden, a great many things happen all
The
at
crowd
once.
goes wild. Dorothy is sobbing.
Yeah, they want blood. Dorothy wants tears. Ozma is about to order the Tin Woodman to take his axe and chop off Eureka's head. The words are in her throat. But the Tin Woodman himself rises and says, "See how easily your jury's mistaken? The kitten could have not eaten the piglet, for here it is." And he removes his hat and reveals the piglet.
Ozma she stands up at her throne. She breathes in a big breath and she
Okay.
says, "Oh yay, give me my pet."
Oh.
That's, yeah.
Trial's over, folks.
bitch.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, God, the piglet." Nick Chopper.
You were trying to kill you just
Yeah.
people are
Okay.
gonna die.
Because that's the thing.
And no apology
No.
whatsoever.
He gives the piglet to her. The crowd is happy. Okay, and here's another thing. The crowd, who is so bloodthirsty, now they're rejoicing because the accused is set free.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they're,
they
yeah.
wanted a
They just
show.
want something.
They
yeah.
wanted a show.
It's
But
interesting.
Eureka, I don't know. She's got a death wish or something. She's like, "I refuse to be free unless the wizard can do his trick with the 8 piglets. If he can only produce 7, then this is the wrong piglet." And the wizard's like, "Eureka,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up."
They
man."
hate
Let
that.
it go.
And Eureka, loud enough for all to hear, announces that the princess's piglet had an emerald collar. And Ozma's like, "Oh shit, you're right.
Hey, I did give it an emerald
Yeah,
collar.
where's my piglet?"
So Eureka's like, "Yeah, of course that's not your pig. The stupid trial is over, so I guess I'll just tell you what actually happened." Now, just to brace you, the story is not much better than if Eureka had actually eaten the piglet after all. So just know that. Know that we're not about to tell you something great. Okay? So
My
Eureka was
expectations are low.
good. Because Eureka was going to eat the piglet for her breakfast. So she snuck into Ozma's room while Ozma was changing. So she's also a pervert.
Okay, peeping Tom.
And when Ozma left the room, Eureka jumped up on the table to eat the piglet. And she's like, "Hey, shut up. Don't scream. I'm going to eat ya."
No.
But the piglet was so scared that it fell off the table and it fell into a vase. And the vase had a wide mouth and then a tiny little neck and then a big
So
bottom.
he slid right through.
Well, not
He got
all the way.
stuck.
He got
Oh,
stuck.
no,
And
jammed.
Eureka was pawing at his face and
No.
scratching around his mouth and he was bleeding.
No.
But maybe. I don't know if that all happened. He did get...
He definitely...
You got
He
me
did-
really scared.
Wyatt definitely
did get stuck.
editorialized, but it's probably true.
Yeah, he
as
got
well.
stuck. But he falls through eventually and is safe in there for days, apparently. Well,
Yeah.
10 hours at least.
So Eureka's like, he's probably still in there as we speak. And so Ozma sends an officer to get the vase. He brings it back.
the Tin Woodman just smashes it open with his axe.
Which,
Okay.
like, honestly,
Kills the pig.
if my if my pig the size of a mouse was stuck in that vase and it's got like a big wide neck and a skinny little, or a big wide mouth and a little skinny narrow neck and then a wide body, it would be so easy to just tap it on something and
Yeah.
break it. You don't have to
On
have
the
the
part that,
axe.
that
But you
he's
know what?
not stuck in.
Here's the question.
Yes.
Are you playing to a crowd in that moment? Because right now there's a crowd of people who've
Yeah,
been cheering you all day. You're on when you're like,
exactly.
you want me to break the vase?
They're
I
like,
can't hear you. You want me to break the vase? All right.
10 minutes.
See that if I hear all that,
Yeah, he's
I'm gonna
feeling a
have to
lot.
have the 10
And you
smash
might
it.
kill the piglet in the process.
That's
That's
true.
all I'm
Who
gonna
cares?
say. But the piglet's freed, okay? Because the Tin Woodman eviscerates that vase.
Yeah.
And everyone's cheering. Dorothy hugs Eureka. She's like, I'm so happy you were innocent all along, which
She
is
wasn't. And the
She-
crowd, as
Not
the
all
crowd is
along.
rejoicing, she's like, why didn't you just say that you were like, or why didn't you just say where the piglet was all along? And Eureka says, I would have spoiled all the fun.
To which I say, someone's being dishonest.
Well, that's the thing is, okay, the trial is over. Everyone goes home.
Okay.
And Eureka should still be a outlaw because Eureka like it's not attempted murder, it's premeditation of murder.
If
She
that
did the thing.
like if the SWAT team runs in and stops me from killing people, does that mean I didn't do it, so therefore I'm free?
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody has any follow-up questions.
Or, like,
nobody's
okay.
confused. Everyone's happy. They
it's
go
like
about
that
their
one
days.
movie, Minority Report, with Tom Cruise.
Maybe.
Where they it's like a police force that has these three people that are able to tell the future,
they're all in that pool of
Oh.
water.
but they arrest people before they commit the crime.
Yeah,
but is that fair to
Because
arrest people
would you have
before they
committed the
commit it?
crime?
Because they
so
actually
this is
haven't
nothing.
committed.
So this is nothing like that.
No, it is.
Because a crime has been committed and they're investigating
And-
and doing a trial. I'm ready to name this chapter. I don't want to talk to y'all anymore.
So that all being said, justice was not served, but all the citizens go home and they are clapping as they walk, and Ozma has a little piggy, and that is the end of chapter 19. The wizard performs another trick. And Blake, what would you call that?
I would call that the perpetrator is freed.
Ooh. Chapter 20. Zeb returns to the ranch.
So in the days after the trial, like nobody trusts Eureka.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk to her. No one wants to be around her.
Everyone hates her.
Fuck Eureka.
Yeah.
So she like Eureka is confined to Dorothy's room. She's not allowed to go anywhere other than Dorothy's room because she's deemed untrustworthy.
She's locked away.
Aw.
And she's like, Dorothy, let's just like, please, you don't even have to come back with me. Just like send me somewhere, send me home, send me anywhere where I can just like be a cat again. Like I didn't ask for all this. I just want to be a cat and eat
Too
little
much
things.
pressure. Too
Yeah.
much pressure.
And
She has a soul now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she has human
We
intelligence.
can show them naked because they ain't got no souls.
Yeah. But Dorothy is like, hey, listen, I'm getting homesick too. Like, I promise that we're going to leave Oz soon. So Dorothy's already also in a mind to go away. And she, for some reason, the text describes it as her begging, which I found
It said
strange.
Begged.
Yeah, she's like, please, Ozma, can I look at the enchanted picture to look at...
Ozma's like, no.
No, it's not that. Yeah. Ozma's just like, yeah, of course you can look at the enchanted picture. Like, look at whatever you want. You literally are royalty here.
You're a princess.
Yeah, you're a
Yeah.
citizen.
So yeah, she's like, yeah, Dorothy, just like wish for what you want to see. The picture will show you. So in the enchanted picture, Dorothy sees that Uncle Henry has returned to
It's
Kansas.
always Uncle Hen.
Now here's the thing. Remember, he was waiting for her in California, but now he's back in Kansas with Aunt Em, and they're wearing like mourning blacks. They think that Dorothy died in the earthquake.
Yeah, they think she's dead. They
This
have
is like
good
the
reason to
third
think
time
it.
that they thought that she was dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the
They're like,
third
she's
natural disaster.
Gotta
to
be
take
Yeah,
gone
place.
it's
this
like-
time.
Bitch had a tornado, then she had a fucking tsunami, I guess, and now it's an earthquake.
She is still an all-terrain vehicle traveling by air, sea, and land. So we'll see next time. How will she travel? Who knows? But she's quite moved by this. And Zeb is like, hey, let me look at the picture, because he's also homesick.
He's related.
Yeah, and well, he is related, and he works for like his uncle twice removed or whatever the fuck, but like at the ranch. So like he wants to go back too. He's like, I like the real world too.
Yeah, Zeb's like, Dorothy, look, Jim and I do not belong in a fairyland. Like, Jim has wanted to go home ever since he lost the race to the sawhorse, honestly. And like, he's been begging me, I want to go home too. Like, because here's the thing, they were rescued from that cave and then brought to Oz. No one said they were going to spend a fucking month in Oz. Like, they've been in Oz for a really long time.
Yeah,
they want to go home. And Dorothy's like, you know what? I want to go home too. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go to Kansas. You're going to go to California. We're going to be good.
Yeah. Zeb is going to go to California. That's how she says it. And that night, everyone except Eureka gathers in Ozma's rooms, and there are stories. The wizard does new tricks. The Tin Woodman sings a love song, and the TikTok man does a dance.
Oh, they just have a ball and a half.
Yeah, they have a wonderful time without Eureka.
I think it says even that like it's a night that Zeb will never forget. It's like the best.
The
night
rest of Zeb's
my
life, he thinks of this
God.
all the time. And then the next morning, they all just assemble outside the Emerald City.
Yeah.
Or palace.
So they take turns leaving. Dorothy says bye to Zeb. She takes Eureka in her arms. She says goodbye to all her friends. She promises to visit again soon. Ozma gives her a kiss, and suddenly, poof, Dorothy and Eureka are gone.
Yeah. And then Zeb hops in the buggy. He says, hey, like, I'm all good to go. Thank you, Ozma. Like, not only for saving all of our lives, but also, like, being so hospitable.
Good
Like,
hospitality.
Yeah, like, you've given us everything. It's amazing.
Loved it all, and he loves her.
He loves her.
But in a he finishes saying that, and in a flash, he's rubbing his eyes, and when he opens them, they're on a very well-known road. Jim is trotting along. His tail feathers are fucking flying. He's chilling, and they're just walking.
Taking Zeb to the gates of Hugson's ranch. And Uncle Hugson comes out when they get back into the land, and he's like shocked to see them. He's like, okay, it's Zeb, but also like Jim, like they're both
How'd y'all
back.
make it?
Like, Zeb should have spent a night inside of Jim's carcass for all I know.
Okay, Star
Survival.
Wars.
Yeah, exactly. But he's like, but Uncle Hugson asks Zeb, he's like, where in the world have you been, son?
And Zeb replies, why? In the world, Uncle. And that is
Oh my God.
the
Final
end
line of the book.
of the book and the chapter.
I mean, he's not wrong.
chapter.
That's
He
where he's
was
been.
inside the world.
That's where you
Yeah.
been.
That's actually interesting.
Because, when you think of it, we're really on top of the world. We're on the crust.
Yeah.
I'm on top of the world.
But he
I'm on
was
top of-
inside.
I honestly, I can't believe he said this, because when I read that, I was like, oh, he's been in the world. Like, it's a joke because Hugson said the world, but like, no, it is a joke because they were inside of the world. I
Instead
really
of being
didn't
on
think
the
of that.
crust.
That was not lost on me. So you
No.
guys are wasting my time. I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you. And Charlie agrees. What's his name? Okay. Sorry about that. Very sorry about that.
And that is the end of both the chapter and the book. And that chapter was entitled Chapter 20, Zeb Returns to the Ranch. And Blake...
Woo!
Your eyes went dead.
And Blake, what would you... Whoa!
California, here we come. Right back where we started from. California.
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we begin Book 5, The Road to Oz. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swangham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.